In Mozambique, it now appears there's some evidence that the insurgency in the area around Cabo Delgado may slowly be easing. That's after an insurgent militant group that appeared to be linked to Al-Shabaab was able to take control of part of that province. That group seemed to be linked to Islamic extremists in the area, also received support from across the border from other countries, including Tanzania. That led to an armed intervention by SADC forces on the ground in that area. Jasmine Opperman is a security expert who's been studying that area very closely. Jasmine, good afternoon to you. Do you believe these reports that the insurgency may be easing? Are we seeing signs that this group is no longer as strong as it once was?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and to your viewers. No, the insurgency is not in decline. The insurgents, since the 1st of December, has launched a new spate of attacks with precision, resulting in 2,000 internally displaced people fleeing their villages. We have seen a renewed attack on islands, and what we are seeing now is insurgents preaching their extremist ideology more and more to local villages. If you want to play the count game, you can say it looks better. Stephen, it is not going better. The problems that we had in 2017 are still persistent today.
So, there are various problems to this, but the SADC force, so it was the first time SADC had grouped together a military force, was supposed to push this group back. Has that not been effective?
Some, in a broader context, has some serious financial constraints. Some soldiers deployed, serious constraints with weapons and how it's being allowed to move. Since the deployment of the special forces last year, we have seen significant successes in clamping down on the insurgent movements. But now, Stephen, with the so-called withdrawal plan for this year, we are going to open up the Macomia coastal area, which is a heartland for the insurgents, and it's going to play right into their hands. So yes, they were not perfect, but their presence made a difference.
And the Rwandans, at one point, they seem to be very effective, and they perhaps have more experience of this than other people.
Rwanda, there is, and Rwanda has been more successful. But Stephen, again, we're talking Mozambique, the prior area, we're talking of Fungi and the LNG area. They tend to be more defensive. Yes, they were involved in offensive operations, but Rwanda is there to protect the LNG sectors in terms of the benefits that feeds back into Rwanda per se. So now you sit with Rwanda about 2,000 forces. They can't have any more soldiers. You think about the DRC and their involvement with M23. So you're sitting with two insurgencies stretching their capacity as well. Had Rwanda destroyed the insurgents in MDP? No, Stephen. We have seen 13 attacks in MDP area since November 2023. The insurgents are persistent, their leaders are in place, they're communicating directly with the Islamic State, and their ideology is spreading.
So in the people who are then living in the areas that are now under the control of this group, what's life like for them? I mean, is this group exerting sort of massive control over their daily lives?
Stephen, okay, first of all, they do not control specific areas as we see in Mali, Nigeria, or Somalia. What they do is they move into the areas, they start feeding the local economy by buying food, by buying supplies, and then by spreading the word that they're not here to kill them, especially Macomia. Mudumbi is a different dynamic, but I don't want to go into so much detail. So it's not so much an issue of controlling an area. It's a freedom of movement. And we are seeing, and we must acknowledge, that communities will rather play into the hands of the insurgency to survive the next 24 hours than to trust the Mozambican security forces.
One of the main points about all of this, and the reason that they win support, and the reason that their message works, and the reason they're able to have an impact on the economy, is because the economy there is so bad. The government has not been able, and the government of Mozambique, for various reasons, has not been able to develop that area. And so a long-term response would really include building the economy in a proper developmental way. Is there any evidence that Mozambique is doing that at all?
That there are true and that there are initiatives by the Mozambican government with formal official structures, yes. Have they made a difference? No, they have not. We are still sitting with the same problems where there's a complete lack of infrastructure beyond Palma, beyond Mozambique the Praia, where people are left to their own devices, relying on their own security local forces. And it is as if Maputo has confined its normalization narrative merely to appease the investment companies, Total Energy specifically, and getting that going is not going to solve the problem in the broader Cabo Delgado. And Stephen, if I may add, even if we start building streets and building hospitals and building clinics, we are talking about an extremist narrative being propagated and finding home. Exceptions, and yes, but the IS is not an election party. But the time that the Islamic State is being afforded for adherence to an extremist ideology cannot merely be defeated by so-called improved service delivery. If it was so easy to fight terrorism, we could have outplayed them long time ago.
So then, is there any risk that they'll be able to move further south, closer to Maputo? I mean, still a long way from our border, but certainly closer to, some of the more developed areas, the areas where many people in Mozambique actually live.
That is one of the unique characteristics of this insurgency. Its heartland and its area of operation now, Mozambique the Praia, Macomia, the coastal area, Mudumbi. The leaders are, almost all of them, local from Mozambique the Praia. So that local driving context remains consistent. We are concerned now that attacks will push down to Kiusanga, closer to Pemba. But I do not foresee now a situation that it will go further than the Kiusanga area. And no, there are no indications of spreading beyond the boundaries of Cabo Delgado in other states in this region.
Thank you very much indeed, Jasmine Opperman. Really do appreciate the time, the security analyst, as you can hear, about the situation in Nigeria.